Hello, everyone. Audiophile Roundtable midweek review of our favorite records. I've got George Borden. I'm Steve Westman. Welcome, George. Wednesday. We did it. We made it to Wednesday.
It's already Wednesday, and but we're halfway there.
How you feeling?
Feeling good. How about yourself?
Not bad. I mean, Wednesday's here. My daughter comes for a visit this weekend because I want to tell everyone this. Noah Kahn is coming to Vancouver. Here he is here. Look at those dogs. This is called Stick Seasons. It's a double LP. And I was looking on the liner notes here. It was actually mastered by Ted Jensen at Sterling Sound. And he sold out Rogers Arena in downtown Vancouver, over 15,000 people. So my daughter bought my tickets for my birthday last November. So if you go on one of those aftermarket websites, they're going for, I think our tickets, each seat are going for over $300 US if you want to just sell them and magically make a nice profit. I told her you should just do that. She goes, no, I want to go see Noah. So there you go. So Noah Kahn, going to see him. His big song was Dial Drunk. It was actually co-produced by Post Malone. And it pisses me off too because the Dial Drunk isn't on this album. It's on the extended version, and they just released the extended vinyl version for $90 US. So anyways, good album. If you like folksy music, it's really popular. Folksy music, really into his mental health and that type of thing. Is recorded during COVID, so there's a lot of just COVID references and that type of thing. So it's an interesting album. When he first came to Vancouver, he was lucky to sell at a 4,000 seat bowl a couple years ago. Now he's big leagues, 15,000. It's pretty good.
That's excellent. It's not easy to sell out an arena, that's for sure.
Well, I didn't realize this, and they do all these pre-sales too. So if you want to basically buy all the merch, you go on the website and you can basically pre-order all of your hoodies and T-shirts and truckers' caps, and then pick them up when you're at the concert and avoid all the lines. Pretty cool.
Oh, you just triggered me. I might have to do a boil over later about merch.
Oh my gosh! You know what's so funny about that? I have the graphic up, so we can do the Borden boil over. Look at that. That was a while ago, so we'll do that for sure. Couple things. I want to do our little thing, the things that make you go home. I got a couple interesting things I was looking at the other day. I think you and the folks might find fascinating. Here it is. Here, things that make you go hmm. First of all, you know this album, right? LA Woman Gonna Have the News. Love this song. I remember I had a convertible when I was 16. I remember blasting the song LA Woman from my convertible. I just thought that was just what a great track. But there's what's interesting about this album, this is the AP 45 RPM cut, mastered by Doug Sachs, of course. Now, there's a song called Crawlin' King Snake. There's a look at this. See this album here? John Lee Hooker.
The Healer.
Guys, the Healer, wasn't it? The Healer.
Yeah.
They had a song by John Lee Hooker on this called Crawling King Snake. There it is. So John Lee Hooker, part of the Doors, at least one of his songs.
Very influential player, John Lee Hooker. And what is that, 88, 89, somewhere in there, that record, The Healer?
This one here?
Yeah.
88, we always do these. You put me on the spot, and I don't know because I can't really see here. I'm going to go
someone in the chat will know.
But this is Bernie Grunman. Lacquer's originally cut by Bernie and pressed at QRP. So Chad's great album, and it's still readily available for a really good price. And I know you mentioned this one before on one of our shows, and I know you have nothing but great things to say about this album, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a fantastic sounding album.
Yep.
There's the man himself. Look at that.
There's the guy, John Lee Hooker.
When did he pass? He's passed a while back now, I would have to think, right?
It's more recent than I think you would think.
Google, whatever. But this is 1989. You're asking, it says 1989 right on it.
There you go, 1989.
Which really cool. So Bonnie Raitt, Robert Cray, Canned Heat, Los Lobos, George Thorogood, Charlie Musselwhite, Carlos Santana, and the Santana Band all on this album.
Yeah, I saw John Lee Hooker quite a few times in the 70s. Yeah,
amazing, just amazing. Yeah, so this is this is one of those ones. If you wanted to test your system, this record would actually really do wonders to your system. I mean, you really hear all the nuances on this recording.
Yeah.
So there you go. Great. John Lee Hooker has a song, or the Doors use a John Lee Hooker song on this album. And I don't know. I've always between the Doors self-titled and LA Woman, it's hard for me to get a favorite Doors album, but this one ranks up there high. Just because of the memories I have with that one song, LA Woman. I just love that tune.
Yeah. Mine's Morrison Hotel.
Yeah, that's right. And why is it Morrison Hotel? What is it about the album that really brings you to that emotional state?
Well, my favorite Doors song is on there, Waiting for the Sun. And I love Roadhouse Blues.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then I think it's I think coming after, I think it's right after the Soft Parade where everything kind of got weird with the horns and they got, and then they just went back to rock. It's a rock album. It's the Doors playing heavy rock, and I like that. That's my favorite Doors. Strange Days is a great record too. As a kid looking at the cover of Strange Days, I remember going, I've just got to know what's on here. I've got to listen to this record just based on that cover as a little kid.
I was always intrigued as a little kid looking at the record, going to the record stores, looking at Strange Days. I'm like, it's quite an interesting album cover. So a couple other things, the things that make you go, that was one of them. So there you go, John Lee Hooker, the Doors. But check this out. Are you a Tom Petty fan?
I think that Tom Petty is one of the greatest American songwriters of all time. I think he's underrated, as a matter of fact.
I think he is, and then I'll prove it to you. The things that make you go home today. Tom Petty. If you guys don't have, Chris Bellman did remastered all of his albums not long ago. The greatest hits, of course. All of his albums. They sound incredible. And pick them up if you don't get them. They're readily available too, and for cheap, like $30, $40 anywhere, right? Record stores, Amazon, that type of thing. Not that I'm promoting Amazon, but again, really good sounding, best sounding stuff out there. Tom Petty's albums. But here you go. I wanted to look at this. We know the song "American Girl." I think it was like 1976 or so. It was released. And I always thought it was a really big hit and it had a lot of airtime. But check this out. This is interesting. It was recorded. Okay, so it was the Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, their self-titled debut album in '76. It was released as a single, and it did not chart in the United States. I did not know that, but it peaked at number 40 in the UK for the week ending August 27th, '77. But it was re-released in '94 on the Petty's Greatest Hits album, which I have, which is also cut by Chris Bellman. It peaked at 68 in the US Cashbox Top 100. So the thing that make you go home is this: it was never a number one hit. But this is interesting, though. This makes me sad. American Girl was the last song performed in concert by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. They played it to close out the encore of their performance of September 25th, 2017 at the Hollywood Bowl, the final concert of their 40th anniversary. Tom Petty died of complications from cardiac arrest.
It's quite a complication, isn't it? Cardiac arrest is quite a complication.
Anyways, so Tom Petty's last song he ever sang, American Girl.
Well, yeah, it's with, I think it's what, 78, Damn the Torpedoes,
one of
78,
those.
79. And those first two albums that came before that, like, I think retroactively people started going back to those records. I don't think they were as big when he hit big, like with Refugee and all that kind of stuff. I think then, obviously that's how it worked back in the day. An artist had multiple albums till they built up that head of steam. And when they got that hit on the third album or the fourth album, it's like Aerosmith too, right? They get to, Toys in the Attic and then there's a couple of hits and then people sort of go back to those earlier albums. It's not like they were unknown records, but they weren't the big hits. And when they finally had the big hit record, the interest in their back catalog would come out,
Toys in the Attic, that's with Sweet Emotion, right? That's the big hit from that.
Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way is on there, yeah.
And then Walk This Way. I remember Walk This Way in mid-'80s when they did the collab with Run DMC. I just thought that was fabulous. I remember it would have been a junior high dance, and that was the song we always requested to dance to, was the Run DMC Walk This Way. Just fantastic. What a great time. What a great time in music, the mid-'80s. Like, come on. Amazing. Just incredible. So we're going to look at a couple of different releases today, or some releases today. And this just hit up yesterday, too. I'm sure you know about Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. MoFi is coming out with a 180-gram, 45 RPM. It's not super vinyl. Well, just so you know, not super vinyl. 1968 album on which Johnny Cash became a legend at Folsom Prison, among the most important and potent statements of the 20th century. A quarter inch 15 IPS analog copy to DSD 256 to analog console to lathe. $60.
I am one of the few people that doesn't have a problem. I'm good with it. I would surely love to listen to that record, I'm sure.
Seems like that's a good sweet spot, the $60 sweet spot. And I can get right into that really good segue with the Atlanta 75 series being that $60 sweet spot, 45 RPM. And I guess we all know the Atlantic 75 by Analog Productions is marketing and producing it. I picked this up the other day. Stone Temple Pilots Core, 45 RPM, cut from the analog tapes, Ryan K. Smith. George, this is exactly how I remember it to sound back in the 90s. This album to me, and I cranked it this week. I was really impressed with the sound of this album. And
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, man, if you like this type of music, you have to have this album. This is a must own for probably most audiophile in their collection. They crushed it. They crushed this album. This is incredible.
There are two really big snare drum hits at the beginning of that record, after that pinched down telephone vocal, and those two big bat bat, and then that band comes in and they are thick. That's a thick band.
It is,
and they play, and I'll say this, and I open myself up to some ridicule, but when I first heard that record, when I brought it home and I listened to it for the first time, I went, oh, it's the new Led Zeppelin. That's what I thought. Just how heavy the band was, the rhythm section, the way that the guitar player wasn't showing off all the time, just playing for the song. And Scott Weiland's got a good voice too. And I know a lot of people mistook it for Pearl Jam, but
well, it's that same era, right? This is 1992. It came out. Weiland, it was recorded in LA, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And I mean, a lot of people like that song "Creep," not the same one by Radiohead, but their Creep version. But I like Plush. I thought Plush on this cut, absolutely phenomenal. Again, I'm probably a little bit biased because I know the song and I've listened to it a million times on CD, but to be able to listen to it on vinyl for the first time was a real treat for me. And I was like a kid in a candy store, and I really wanted to listen to every single track and really get a feel of how it sounds. And like I said, I cranked it, and no one was home, and I really enjoyed the listen. I mean, what was it, 38-minute listen, whatever it was. It was great. I know it's 45 RPM cut. I didn't care what 2-3 songs per track. It was well worth getting up. I almost felt nervous putting it on the turntable and putting it down. I was really excited to get this. And when this got announced and was released, it's so heavy. And that's a good way to describe it. It's heavy, and I was in the mood for a really good listen. I mean, I hadn't really listened to STP for a number of years, and been great. I'm getting some people give me some thumbs down on this thing, unless it's just the way this. Anyways.
I think we got Dead and Bloated on there. Sex Type Things on there, another big song for them. Wicked Garden, another big song.
Well, it starts with Dead and Bloated, and then Sex Type Things. Wicked Garden is the first three. I mean, it's a great side right there at 45 RPM. It is, and then No Memory. You've got Sin. You've got 4 songs on side 2 for 45 RPM. No Memory, Sin, Naked Sunday, and Creep. Sin's a 6-minute song. No Memory is only 1:20, so it makes sense that there's 4 there. And then Piece of Pie, and then of course Plush. So 2 songs on side 3 and side 4: Wet My Bed, Cracker Man, and Where the River Goes. And Where the River Goes, almost is an 8-minute song, 8.5-minute song.
The DeLeo brothers are awesome songwriters. Weiland, great lyricist, and they continued to make great records. All along. They Purple's a great record.
It is,
and it just keeps going. Tiny Music, Shangri-La-Di-Da, 4, a lot of good records in the Stone Temple Pilots catalog. Deep records, and they weren't afraid to experiment and go into different directions, and they did it quite a bit. Hello, Jefferson.
And I mean, this is the pre-streaming days, so they sold a heck of a lot of CDs in their day.
Yes, they did.
A large volume.
They were a good band. Great band. Still are.
Very good band.
Still play.
Bandy is saying, Wilder, what do you prefer about the core MOV versus the AP 75th 45? Does someone can compare? I don't have the MOV, so I couldn't compare. I mean, I have my old CD, which I thought sounded pretty good. I don't know. Just having it on vinyl is a whole different experience, just in my own opinion.
It's great band.
So this was my introduction to Atlantic 45 AP Analog production. This is my first one. I'm really happy with it. I mean, again, it was $60 US. When the smoke clears with exchange and everything, it's probably you're looking at $100 Canadian. But I'm very happy with this record. So I wanted to save shipping, and so what I did is I also got one of your favorite solo artists of all time, Phil Collins. Hello, I Must Be Going. I don't know if you're familiar with this album.
Absolutely. I think
19
anybody my age is.
1982. So what Face Value was, what, 80 or 81? So this came out pretty quickly after Face Value, right? I mean, he was hot at that time. I mean,
Dude was on a roll.
I Don't Care Anymore, great song. I mean, the song that got a lot of play was where is it here? Yeah, You Don't Care Anymore and You Can't Hurry Love were some big hits on the radio. So again, this one here, it says 100% all analog, mastered and cut to lacquer from a 1/4-inch EQ Dolby tape of the original master tape. And to be expected as nice glossy, thick album jackets as well. I mean, you're getting your money's worth. It's nice. I'm not saying I'm not a huge Phil Collins fan, but this brought back some memories as well. I quite enjoyed it. I don't think I was as excited as the STP Stone Temple Pilots cut, but yeah, this is pretty awesome. But I'm really impressed so far. If you guys, I mean, if you check out some of the Analog Productions or Acoustic Sounds website, check out some of the Atlantic 75 stuff, some good quality stuff, and they all sound amazing. Amazing.
Phil Collins, he's a reluctant lead singer. He wasn't trying to be. He had no want to be the lead singer. He just got kind of pushed up in front and became a guy who could, he grew into the part, and he did good.
When Gabriel left, they weren't even going to give Phil the lead. I think at first they were actually going to be auditioning other singers, if I'm not mistaken, before they said, "Okay, Phil, you go for it." I think that's sort of the way the story goes.
He didn't want to do it either. He's like, he wants to be a drummer. He wanted to be a drummer. He didn't want to come up and be the singer. But him and Peter Gabriel did a lot of really tight, close harmony work, and it was clear that he knew how to sing. But it was like, well, let's find a lead singer. So because I'm the drummer. And when they couldn't find somebody to do it, they said, we got the guy right here. There's it's pretty well documented, but for a reluctant lead singer, he sure kind of handled it pretty well. I think Phil, I think history hasn't been kind to him because he just got so freaking famous. And there was a point in the 80s where it was like, the dude was doing everything. He was everywhere and you couldn't get away from it. And it became, he's a good talent, and we should probably enjoy him while he's still here, because he's the guy's got some issues going on right now, and it's a shame.
I mean, the whole debate about him not being as a solo artist in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, who cares about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, does it really make a difference at this point? He got in with Genesis. I mean, really. But I mean, he sold in the 80s in terms of, Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince, George Michael, Phil Collins. Those are the top artists that sold probably the most records or CDs in the 80s. I mean, he was one of those. I mean, incredible hits. I mean, some of his, like this album, I mean, like going back to Hello, I Must Be Going. Some people in the chat are saying that this is probably a better album than Face Value. I mean, Face Value is only big because In the Air Tonight got a huge radio play and has that, of course, that drum machine track to it as well. But I mean, this, in terms of production, in terms of overall sound, I think this does beat out Face Value if I was to compare the two.
Yeah, and as it says there in the chat there, let's not forget about Brand X, great prog band. Progressive.
There you go.
Yeah, he's a great artist, great drummer, great singer. Made some good songs.
I don't think he picked his partners very well. Seems like there's a lot of heartbreak in all of his songs. So every single partner he's ever had's divorced him or left him, according to his music and in real life. All the news articles. I don't know.
I think it was really one in particular that was the big one, and that was right when his solo career was starting to take off. I think it went bad.
Why his ex-wife I think there was some $100 million settlement. I mean, it must be nice to be able to just write a check for $100 million to have that much money in the bank. My God, that's crazy. But yeah, he's an absolute legend, VQR. Absolutely. Can't say anything about Phil. Is it like arthritis or some sort of issue with his hands, right? That he can't really hold the drumsticks any longer. There's something going on.
I think it's that. I think he also has trouble walking, even standing for long periods of time. I think he's got some kind of degenerative thing going on. I'm not aware of exactly what it is, but it's taking a toll on him, and it's seems to be progressing as time
Well, I
goes
know
on.
in any of the concerts, his son is actually the drummer during the concert, and he just sits beside his son, and very interesting. So there is Phil Collins again, Atlantic 75. I was blown away. I mean, I can't afford every single cut. Obviously, they're expensive when the smoke clears up in Canada. But I'm so happy about my Stone Temple Pilots. I'm probably going to play it again today, George. I think I need to just pound it out again.
I think I would understand that entirely. I think it's a great record.
So I had, you know who Zev Feldman is? A fellow by the name of Zed Feldman. I know Mazzy's had him on his channel before. He runs a couple of different labels, Jazz Detective, Deep Digs Music Group, and it's called Elemental Music, if I'm not mistaken. And he produces, obviously, different unreleased jazz records, stuff that's never been cut to vinyl before. So he reached out to me, and he wants to come on as one of our panelists in the coming weeks on the Roundtable. So I'd love for you to be on with him as well, and we'll invite the other crew for Zev to come on. I think it'll be great. And apparently Mazzy's chatting with Zev as well. So Zev's getting a lot of airtime lately. But they did send me a couple of albums here for Record Store Day that they wanted me to show. So this is what they're doing. This is Yusef Lateef Quartet, 1972 Avicenna concert in France. Pretty much, I don't think it was ever. All tracks are previously unreleased and unissued. So there you go. Atlantis Lullaby.
Oh, and to answer the question there in the chat, Tony, yes, Phil Collins did play at Wembley in the morning and then jumped on the Concorde.
I saw that,
Concorde, and then flew to Philly and then played with Led Zeppelin for their reunion.
And these were all mastered by Matt Luthens from the Mastering Lab, which is Chad's lab in Salinas, Kansas. So there you go, Matt. There's that one there, yeah. And then they sent me this one too. I mean, stuff that Mal Waldron and Steve Lacy. Another one here. Not if you're familiar. This is called the Mighty Warriors, and this is a double LP.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then I have, this is kind of interesting too. Again, another one here. This is called Sunray, and this is at the Showcase live in Chicago. Sunra, sorry, live in Chicago, 1976-77.
Sun Ra can be it's like the Captain Beefheart of jazz, right? Sun Ra can be very very trying to listen to sometimes. It can get really out and really wacky, but it's fun. I have a few Sun Ra records, but
yeah, it's not something I've been into before. I mean, to quite honestly, they had never listened to Sun Ra, so I mean, to listen to it, I think you really gotta get used to it first. Is that way I would?
And, well, as soon as you get used to one, you get the other one, and it's completely different. It's like it's fun if you go along with it.
And then they sent me this one too, Chet Baker and Jack Sheldon. This is In Perfect Harmony, the Lost album.
Yeah, I love Chet Baker.
Look at this, Tape Porn. There's the box. And this is again mastered by Matt Luthens. One of them they did send me was actually mastered by Matt at Kevin's facility, the rest at Chad's facility. But yeah, Record Store Day stuff that they're putting out. So if you guys looking for ideas, they sent me these ones to show. Pretty cool. Like it. Nice albums.
Yeah, just like John Bandy's saying down there, it's like getting into Sun Ra is like getting into Frank Zappa. That it's such vast.
It's a rabbit hole. I know.
Where do you start? Which way do you go after you pick something in the middle? It's almost like a new record every week.
Well, Sun Ra has 59 different personalities, which make each made a different sort of record. So it's like you said, it's all, again, it's not something I love this. I had an opportunity to listen to stuff I would never have listened to before in Sun Ra. Definitely one of them. I mean, when I got that, I'm like, wow, this is cool. So I researched them, looked at all their albums, which I always do, and it's really neat, really cool. Here's what Phil Collins sustained a major spine injury in 2007 and has been deteriorating ever since, apparently. So yeah.
There you go.
Awful.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So it's spring break in Vancouver, George. So I took my daughter to the library, and I'm like, you know what? I'll go look at the DVDs. Not that I ever watch DVDs. I've got a DVD player, of course. But I picked this up because I haven't seen it since 1985, since I was like 13. So I picked up the Beatles' Hard Day's Night to watch, which I did. And it actually was, the script and the acting wasn't as bad as I remember. It was actually not bad. They actually did a pretty decent job acting, the boys. The script was actually pretty decent. Now, and then I'm listening to it. Okay. And I'm like, something's off here. All the songs seem slow. I'm like, is it my machine? Is there something wrong with my DVD player? There's something, I'm bothered by it. So didn't think much of it. And I'm like, okay, I'll just open up the notes here and read about it. And I was reading about the stereo and 5.1 surround mixes. And it says here in the second paragraph, it goes, it's worth noting that as well as having different mixes than the original album tracks do, the songs are slower in the film than on the albums. I'm like, interesting, wonder why. The difference is quite noticeable during the scenes where the Beatles are rehearsing performing in this television studio, which is so true. It really bugged me to hear these songs slow. It was really weird. It was a weird experience. Our understanding, and this is coming from Giles Martin and Sam Okell, is that these scenes were filmed at 25 frames per second rather than the usual 24 frames per second, so that the TV monitors could be shown without any aliasing effect or flickering effect.
Yeah, that is the 25 is the.
It's so weird. It's so weird to listen to these at slower speeds. It doesn't. I don't know why they would do that, but they did.
Nonetheless, that is a classic movie. The comedy is really good, and it's classic British humor, and I think a lot of people it was kind of going whoo, but all the stuff with Paul's grandfather and all the chit chat going on, it was really
okay. But here's the thing about Paul's grandfather. I looked this up as well.
It's very clean.
He's very clean. He's very clean. Wilfred Bramley. Is it Wilfred Bramley?
Yeah, from Steptoe's son.
Right, but Wilfred how old do you think he was in the movie?
I would think that he was in his 60s at that point in time, but I don't know.
He was 3 years older than me at the time. He was 53 years old, and he looked like he was 70. That's so weird to me. So I looked him up as well, and he had a very interesting personal life. And I think his first wife, he left his first wife after he found out that she was pregnant with the gardener's wife or something. Some weird, strange times with Anyways, so this is the 2014. DVD of the Beatles' Hard Day's Night, and the song, it's slower. It sounds slow. It's weird to listen to. I really thought there was something wrong with my player, but there wasn't. So yeah, but they were saying too that Hard Day's Night was recorded by the Beatles on 4-track tapes, which we know. Sadly, in the case of the single "She Loves You," only the mono mix of the track still exists. It says here.
"She Loves You," I believe, is still 2-track. So, because "She Loves You" is pre-Hard Day's Night.
Yeah. Right? So the songs from With the Beatles are on 2-track tapes. So "She Loves You" would have been 2-track.
The first song that they ever cut 4-track, I believe, is "I Want to Hold Your Hand."
So that means to me that the songs on this DVD, Giles Martin would have remixed. He remixed the songs on Hard Day's Night, is what he did. It says here he says here when remixing the Beatles songs in stereo in 5.1, our objective is to retain the original spirit, vibrancy, quality, and charm while making subtle improvements to the balance and the color and the stereo picture.
There you go.
So, yeah, if you want a wild ride, good script, decent acting by the Beatles. Actually, Paul McCartney, I was impressed. Not a bad actor.
No, they're all good. I thought they were all great in that movie.
I hadn't seen this since 1985, so that was and that was already the movie was already 20 years old, so it was actually new. That's like watching a movie from 2001. Think about that. That's right. What I was doing back then, and I thought, okay, this it's made in 65. It's all in black and white. Who was watching in black and white back in the mid 80s? We were watching in color back then, so it felt old to me back then. But now that I'm in my 50s, I have a real appreciation of this movie. Really well done.
Yeah.
And Richard Lester was the director of it as well. And there's also a making of the movie, which I haven't watched it, which I'll watch tonight.
Great film.
It is a good film. It's color. No, it's in black and white. It's unfortunate they didn't. And the Help movie was in color, of course, which I didn't like as much. I've watched that one before.
It helps a little bit sillier, and it was a different vibe then, and they were really high, and also they planned the film around where the Beatles wanted to go on vacation, is the way they put it. Hey, we've never been to we've never been to this island. Let's go film something there. Put something in there. We haven't been skiing. Let's put a scene in for that, you know, that kind of thing.
So true. I should have just colorized the movie too with all they did. So yeah, interesting.
It's a great movie in black
It's
and
a good
white.
movie, but again, it's slow. The song sounds slower. So weird. It's like if you have a problem with one of your belts and your turntable and just doesn't have, the speed's not there. That's what it sounds like to me when you're watching this this movie. But yeah, Hard Day's Night, definitely a great movie. Patty Boyd, the very first song I think they sing on the train in the storage area is basically on the inside of the storage area with the Beatles when they're singing with Paul's grandpa with the other girls behind. So you get a good shot of Patty Boyd, who of course went on to become Mrs. George Harrison, and then from there Mrs. Eric Clapton, right? So I mean, there you go.
Correct. She's in
Patty
that
Boyd.
film.
She's in that, and they have her. They have her in the title in the credits here, which is kind of, I don't know if it's creepy or not, but I mean they have her as a blonde schoolgirl on the train. Like, yeah, okay, there. Anyways, that's how she's credited as part of the cast. So yeah.
You know what's funny? You know who else is in that film?
Who's that?
Phil Collins.
Oh my gosh, that is very true. He's like 12 or 13 years old. He's at the very beginning when they're all crowding around the train getting on. That's correct. That's so good. So there you go, another Phil Collins segue. That's amazing. Wanted to give a couple shout outs. I've got a viewer named Rob. Rob, thank you so much, Rob. He wrote me a nice little letter, sent me a couple of CDs. I don't know if you guys are. This is Lily Annual. And he sent me these CDs to check out. And so I checked out Lily Annual's stuff, and I was really impressed with some of it. So if you guys are in your record store and you want to support, I guess, local artists or independent artists, I mean, check her out. Some good stuff. Thank you, Rob, for that. And he wrote me a nice letter. I really appreciate that. So thank you again. I love all our reviewers. So amazing. So you brought some records to look at, right, or to review?
I did
because I recall this is what we're doing today. We're doing midweek record reviews. I did some already. I'm saying I'll get back to it. Stone Temple Pilots, guys, you got to buy this one. I think these. I mean, not that I have all of them, but these are probably two of their best that Atlantic 75 Analog Productions has. I mean, pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I brought some records that I haven't really bought too many new releases lately, but I pulled some records out that are still sort of the current out now, of these records, meaning, you can still go and find these records and they're all pretty good. And some of them I haven't shown on here, but I've shown on other programs, but I think they're all worth checking out. And again, different styles. I'm trying to bring different styles. So, but you just give me the go ahead when you want me to show some, and I will.
Well, I want to see. You spent all night reviewing them and breaking them down for the show today, so you did your homework.
I'll start with two 10-inch records. How about that?
Hang on.
So the first one is this Sam Cooke with his Soul Stirrers. I keep coming back to this record. Obviously, people know Sam Cooke as the pop star. This is Sam Cooke gospel, and these are like demos that he was cutting, and it's just phenomenal to listen to. I'm not a big gospel person. I do like some standard gospel stuff from a more historical perspective, but all the goods that Sam Cooke ever brought to the pop scene are here on this. He was fully realized as a singer. A lot of the styles that he had developed in this sort of gospel realm, he brought to his more poppier material, and all of the hits that Sam Cooke for, and the vocal stylings. He's one of the great voices of all time. And here he really establishes the stylings that would make him famous. And again, this is you can see that there's 3 LPs in here, and there's the Soul Stir stuff, and then there's a live show from 55, and then there's some Sam Cooke demos on the 3rd LP. A great listen. If you can get your hands on this, I promise you'll like it. And then for something completely different, this is Anthrax. And this has the Armed and Dangerous EP and their first record called Fistful of Metal. So you get their first album plus the EP that kind of brings Joey Belladonna into the picture, who became sort of their main singer. And it's on this beautiful splatter vinyl. Anthrax is, if you don't know, an early sort of proprietor of the thrash metal scene that was made popular with Metallica and Megadeth and Slayer. And this is a good collection, and it's got a lot of you open it up and it's got a lot of the memorabilia from back in the day, and a good East Coast thrash band, and worth a listen. Very good band.
Now, is that still readily available at anywhere? Or
Yeah, I
is
mean,
it a
I bought that.
Discog thing?
I grabbed it in a record store recently. Just found it on the shelf as a new record.
How much was it?
I think it was only like $35, maybe $40, somewhere in there. It wasn't, 3 10-inch records, not a big deal. Yeah.
So I know I asked you this before. Now, like I showed you my Atlanta 75. Those were the first two I just purchased. Are you going to buy any of those titles? Interest you at all going forward? I'm going to get In Excess Kick, because I have all the different In Excess Kick cuts that are out there. The Miles Scholl ones, the original ones. I think there's like a most recent Back in Black cut or something that Universal did.
I'm interested in the Stone Temple Pilots, and considering how people are raving about it. And there's a couple that I just don't think I'll be able to resist. That Stone Temple Pilots record right there, I think is, the one that sparked my interest when they first announced all this,
It's worth it.
I bet it is.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing too, right? I mean, we always hear, people are complaining, oh, it's Steely Dan. You're talking about Steely Dan, all these Steely Dan, all these same old artists. Well, here's the thing. You're getting new stuff now. We're getting stuff, well, not new, 1992, but, stuff that hasn't been cut, sort of an audiophile pressing. What's there to complain about? This is fantastic. 45
Absolutely.
RPM. I'm not as everyone knows, I'm not the greatest fan of 45, but again, it is what it is, and I was quite happy with it. And that sweet spot, like Mazzy likes to say, $60. That's what I like to pay. The 125s, that gets a little ridiculous because of the packaging. It's cumbersome. We opened up the bridge over troubled water last week on the show, and it's like it's everywhere. To get one record out, I'm putting the foam over here and the cover over here and all the inserts, and it's just a mess by the time I get the one record out. So it's nicer to have it, in a nice little non-box and just a normal album. It says, jacket, not bad.
Yep.
You gotta buy it, George.
I know.
I'm gonna do An Excess Kick as well, because I know that band, grew up with that band, seen them live in concert more than once, have Kick album in different cuts. So yeah, I have to get it. And that was recorded digitally as well, the Kick album, if I'm not mistaken, back in '87.
I don't know, but it's a great sounding record. I have an OG.
The OG I have it. Bob Clear Mountain would have engineered it or produced it back then. And Clear Mountain, as we both know, is a fabulous, talented man, and produces great albums. So yeah, it sounds great. But I do believe Kick is a digital recording, if I'm not mistaken. If someone can Google that or verify that, I want to say yes on that one. What else do you have? What's that?
This one's basically a digital recording nowadays. It wasn't back in the day. This record is nearing the 100-year-old mark. It's from 1927 is where the recordings start. So it's coming close. This is Jack White's label. This is volume 1 of Blind Willie McTell, where they kind of went in and tried to sort of, for archival reasons, clean it all up and get it, as good sounding as possible. When you, like me, if you listen to blues music, and you start, trying to go back as far as you can to get into, guitar type, stuff like this, Robert Johnson's one, Blind Willie McTell. This is another, you're not buying this for audiophile quality stuff. You're buying this just historically to but this is as good as you're going to get it probably right here. I think they did a lot of cleaning up on it. Again, there's the label. This is I kind of went on this little thing where I wanted to really try out Jack White's whole situation, and I bought a White Stripes record, a Jack White record, a Raconteurs record, and then looked at some of the archival stuff that they were selling, and got like a kind of a group of stuff just to check out the experience of buying from that company. And it was interesting. I heard that there's been some quality control issues with some records that people have been talking about, but I didn't have that problem at all. Everything was really state of the art, and all worked out good for me. This is
One
Cheap
second.
Trick.
One second. I just
Okay.
mastered from an EQ'd tape copy per the AP website.
There you go.
But again, recorded digitally doesn't mean it wasn't recorded digitally with a digital tape, is what I'm trying to say. I think
Yeah,
it
you
was
never
a
know.
digital recording, like, you know how Nightfly was a digital recording, but it was a digital tape. I think that's probably what Kick is. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. Cheap Trick at Budokan. This is the complete concert. So this is sort of a redo where they kind of fleshed it out
Great
into a
album.
double album. I think it's Cheap Trick is again, I think underrated as an American pop band. I think that they're a phenomenal, talented band. All of them. I mean, Bunny Carlos is a great drummer, and Robin Zander is a great singer, and Rick Nielsen is just Rick Nielsen. And as a group, they really made some great records. And Budokan kind of was the apex of, their kind of popularity, it seemed, for a and it was a single live record. So this being a fleshed out version of the Budokan concert, and it's sounds great. And then for something completely different, Wind Hand, Grief's Infernal Flower, right? This is it's kind of stoner rock stuff. It's like Sleep kind of vibe. Real heavy, sludgy, a lot of fuzz, SGs with fuzz boxes, and heavy reverby drums, and a lady who can sing really, really good, playing some really heavy, heavy music. I came across this band at the same time that I was coming across Sleep, sort of late to that party, but Wind Hand, this is a great record, heavy as all get
Now,
out.
George,
So,
can you tell us the name of the album again? Sorry if you didn't mention it already.
Grief's Infernal Flower is
And
the
this
name
is,
of it.
again, readily available.
Yeah,
Like, where do you pick
yeah.
these up?
I'm at the record store.
The record store. No kidding.
Yeah, I just went down to my local record store, and there it was. I would suggest going into rock and starting at W, and see. They
So
probably won't have
okay.
their own card that says Wind Hand.
Oh.
They'd probably be in the general W.
So the folks, if you're watching, it's under W. Okay,
W for Wind
which
Hand.
is probably the back of the store if you go alphabetically. So there you go.
Yeah,
Right?
totally towards
Okay.
the end of the alphabet.
How much was it?
It's like that was only like, I think, like $26.
Well, that's a green it's green, is it? The green?
Like
what is
kind
it?
of aqua blue color. Kind of an aqua.
That's nice. That's okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's the debate. You read about it in all the forums. This whole color vinyl thing. Is it really an issue? Does it really matter?
Yeah.
Does it really matter does it really kill the sound quality?
I have been having some pretty good luck with colored vinyl. And to be honest with you, I don't seek it out. I didn't know that was even colored vinyl until I got it home, and I mean, it might have said it on the sticker on the outside. I don't read the hype stickers.
No.
I saw, Wind Hand, man. Yeah, totally. I want this record, and there it is. So I'm going to buy it. I didn't even know until I got home and pulled it out that it was colored. To be honest with you, I haven't had too much trouble with colored records lately. And I still will avoid a picture disc to, like it's the plague, but
yeah.
I don't want to deal with picture discs ever, but I'm not having any problems with vinyl.
Well, I think that was the issue. A lot of people are upset about some of those picture, some of the, was it Sabbath that came out in a picture disc, their box set of it was. I mean, people weren't happy about that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big picture disc fan.
I don't want a picture disc ever for any reason whatsoever if I can avoid it. And again, it's like
I
the
have
tool
I
and
have two
editing.
of them. I have two of them, but they're on the wall. They're the Beatles Abbey Road and
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper. That's it.
Right, and I get that, the novelty of, like, I see that a lot of people like to hang them up on their wall and display them, and I totally get that. And it's like I had to get Lateralis, the Tool record, because it only comes in a picture disc, and I was like, "God, why?" But, there you
Hey, like this one, George. Apparently, you're 2 records away from showing your Pig Destroyer collection.
go. Well, I just want to keep it, keep everybody on their toes and mix it up a little bit. So we went from gospel to
Yeah,
stoner rock
it's
to,
very
to Blind Willie
eclectic.
McTell.
Very eclectic. I'm impressed. No, but I hear a lot of debate about this. Okay, fine, no picture disc, but really, is there less sound quality color vinyl versus black vinyl? I mean, really?
The last time that I had one that was so bad that I actually did trade it in at the store for something else it was a record store day, and it had glitter in it. What was it? It was that Matrix, that 3 LP Matrix soundtrack that was like green with glitter inside the vinyl, and there was so much clicking and popping and surface noise in there, I just couldn't handle it. And I took it in with me to the record store and traded it in for, some value and got something else in its place, but I
Rod
didn't do
Riggs,
that.
Rod Riggs, yeah, hard pass on Rumors picture disc for RSD.
Yeah.
Come on, that's brutal.
I think that the possibilities that they could figure out a way to do it would be good. I mean, I think that it would be possible to figure out how to make picture discs okay, but it's not the point, right? The point of a picture disc is the look of it and that whole novelty of it. Oh, I do have a Devo picture disc. I have a Devo
Ooh,
one. It's a
which
record
one?
store day one.
Which
I think it's
records?
oh no, it's Devo. It's the one with
Oh
the
yeah,
potato on the front.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I got it because it was there on record store day, and it was like one of the leftover ones. It looks like the puppy that nobody wanted to take home. When you go to the record store like a week after record store day, and they still have the leftovers that have been picked over, and it's almost
Picked
like
over stuff.
yeah, like an old turkey. After Thanksgiving, and you're like, gosh, is there anything left here? And that Devo was there, so I said, oh, why not? It was cheap enough.
John Lamarca for the Rolling Stones in mono box. The black sounds better
It's
than
absolutely
the
true.
colored version to my ears, but that could be the pressing plant. John's saying.
On my channel, I actually gave away the Rolling Stones and mono colored box set for the 1,000 subscriber, shindig as a kind of a giveaway thing. I got it because of the FOMO thing, and I already have the black one. And so the first thing I did was I just compared it. I wanted to find out it, and it was minimal, but the black version seemed to eke it out for me a little bit. To be honest with you though, if I didn't have the black one and I didn't want to pay $2,000 for it, I would be fine with the colored box set. It
So,
wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It just notched it out a little bit.
so if Clarity Vinyl and Super Vinyl and Neotech are so amazing and sort of like the best thing since sliced bread in the vinyl industry, why doesn't every single record just use Clarity Vinyl or Neotech? People
No.
would buy it. People would pay the upcharge if it's that great. I mean, we know Super Vinyl. A lot of cuts are coming out in Super Vinyl more now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why Clarity Vinyl is more, because you have to add the black to make it.
Yeah, they don't have it's not
Vinyl's
black,
not
right?
naturally black. They're just not adding anything extra to it. So you'd think, since there's one less step, that it would actually be,
Well, I think
you know.
Clarity Vinyl is like a McDonald's Big Mac sauce. We don't know what's in it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
That's the
true.
thing. It's
It's
true.
true. I honestly, I've heard some really, really good sounding standard old black vinyl records that just sound great. And then I've also heard some colored ones that sound great. And I didn't have the same problem. I think I got lucky with my Kind of Blue. I didn't have any surface noise or clicks or pops. I heard a lot of people saying that their Kind of Blue UHQR had some issues. Mine doesn't. Mine sounded fantastic. Um, I don't know what happened there. Right? Did you hear about that?
No.
Right? I heard some people were saying that they had their Kind of Blue UHQR had some surface noise, and they were a little bit upset about it, but mine didn't have that issue. So,
Oh, I'm getting a question here from Norman. Would you like to read it?
yeah. So Steve,
Yes.
since
Yes,
Rhino,
Norman.
Since Rhino and Warner's have Bowie now,
Yeah.
any Talk album, a Hi-Fi Ziggy, or any other title, few of those would be huge if they can get the tapes. What's any Talk album? What does that mean? Is that am I missing
Is it
something?
any Talk album? Is that like?
That's what he says there. Yeah, I don't understand that. Any Talk album, a Hi-Fi. Norman, clarify yourself, will you please? A few of
Okay,
those would be huge if they can get the
there you
tapes.
go.
Hi-Fi Ziggy. Yeah, I've not really heard too many bad Ziggy Stardust.
Well, the 50th, is it the 50th anniversary one? It was I think a digital cut. I want to say it was even like a half-speed master digital cut or something, but I didn't hear anything too terrible about that one.
I just bought like a $25 one down at the local record store. It sounded fine to me. I didn't have a problem with it.
Oh, he says it's that
Oh, that
part is a
part's
typo. Talking Heads, I bet, is what he's gonna say.
Oh, Talking Heads.
Yeah, the boxes
Oh,
were digital. The
but they
Talking Heads.
didn't.
Yeah.
Did they sound bad? I don't recall them
Hey,
sounding bad.
I remember the summer before, 2 summers ago, everyone was praising MoFi, saying they're the best sounding albums ever, and then they found out they're digital, and all of a sudden they don't sound so good. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't.
Hmm.
I don't have any problem with any of the Bowie represses that I bought. I think they sound. Yeah, like Norman's saying, they sound good. Why? Well, then why do we want to do that? Let's go. Let's concentrate on like getting the Stone Temple Pilots finished up and move on to Alice in
I'm
Chains.
putting it up because I was impressed, and I was in.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, it biased too. I was in one of those moods too, George, that I really needed something like heavy to listen to, and it rocked.
yeah.
It rocked me. I had the house just. I went outside to listen to the house shake as well. It was fun.
Mm. Let's work on that Pig Destroyer UHQR.
Ooh, that'd be
I
fun.
don't just anything.
Maybe you can get like a commission from it. You can start
Or why
promoting it.
why don't we get Kevin Gray to take that tube system that he's got and do the entire War catalog instead of just the greatest hits?
Well, I'd be curious to know. Kevin Gray did the War greatest hits with his tube cutter. Ryan K. Smith then redid it using a 45 RPM cut for Analog Productions. Does anyone have a comparison, an A/B in those two? I'd be curious to know. I bet you Kevin sounds better, just because of what he's done.
The Stones Mono Box 283 now at Amazon. Yeah, the colored box is still out there, man. It's still down even at the local record store. And for $283, all day long, you're not
Hang
going to
on.
be disappointed.
That's the LP box for $283 on Amazon,
I think it was only. Yeah, I think it was
CD.
only $300, right? It wasn't.
No, it's got to be more. The CD box would be that, wouldn't it? That seems a little cheap.
No. How much was the Beatles mono when it came out? It was like
The Beatles mono box
when it
CD.
first came out.
Oh,
No,
well,
the final. It was like $300.
yeah, that's what I paid at Costco for that. It's amazing.
Right. So I think the Rolling Stones, the colored mono, and Amazon might be blowing it out because that's still there. That was the thing, is that everybody was clamoring for that. Like, oh my gosh, there's going to be, I can't wait for this. And then there's a bunch of them sitting around.
Alice in Chains Unplugged. Yeah. Pepper, 67 Pepper, $339. Okay, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And those are actually mastered using, it was DSD was the source, by the way, guys, for those mono.
Yeah, and everybody knew that from the get-go, and everybody still thinks it sounds great. I think the Rolling Stones, especially those early records, they're not exactly audiophile, so we don't have to keep our hopes too high on those. They get pretty crispy.
That's a great deal. This is a great deal. I mean, you can pay $125 for one album right now. Different albums out there, or you can buy an LP box for $339. Not bad.
Yeah, I think look at that. The box is still there, 283 limited time deal, man. I would jump on that big time.
Who said that? Who said that?
It's right there, Onteo, ONTEO.
I think this might cost me money today, this episode.
Again, I compared them. I took one from the beginning and one from the end of the box. I compared 12 by 5 and I compared Beggar's Banquet. And I listened to them, and I was leaning into it to try to hear the difference. It was very slight. The black box was just a little more open and airy in the top, but it wasn't like, it's like if all I had was that colored box, I wouldn't be looking for the black box.
So Miles Scholl recut it then, or is it the same? It's the same plates.
It didn't seem like the same plates to me, and as a matter of fact, to be honest with you, the matrices look different to me.
Yeah, I think you know what I think from my conversation, I think he's cut it more than once, so that would make sense to me. But it's funny. But it's funny because he just gets a file, and this happened to be the DSD file, and he's like, "There you go, Miles, go and cut it." I mean, that's pretty much what happens in that situation for him.
The printing quality of the jackets, it was fine. It was different. The inner sleeves were different. I seem to remember that there was inner sleeves that were cardboardy on the colored one, where they weren't all like that on the black one. That's the other thing too, is that there were some differences like that. But you know what, sound wise, you get, we can all get inner sleeves and replace that, which is what you would do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that colored box in terms of
Mark Lastman. If you're Canadian, Warner Music Canada right now, 20% off today on their site with a code. It includes Rhino Hi-Fi. Pick up those two for a good price. That is a good deal. 20% off. Got to get that for Canadians. Warner Music Canada.
I got Temple of the Dog recently. Temple of the Dog was recently redone because they toured, right?
I'm not getting sucked into that. And Mark, do you have a Canadian code? Is what John Moore is asking. Hang on, I want to see that.
This is Temple of the Dog. This is recent.
Open it up.
Open it up.
Let's see this.
Take it out of the plastic?
Yeah, like pretend like you actually listen to it.
I do listen to it, but I don't ever take it out of the shrink.
I want to see it.
Out of the thing. So here it is, Temple of the Dog.
Nice.
Hold on, there's another record in the middle here. Hold on, let me take this out of the way. There's the label, right? And then there's the inside, right?
Just one record, or is there two?
That's double.
Yeah.
There's two. And then what year is this? 2018, I think it says. Right. Or is that 2016?
Hard to see it, but it's
2016.
Okay.
So this was not too long ago, right?
No.
So, but maybe someone's talking about doing like a UHQR or something. I don't know. That might be a little out of Chad's wheelhouse, getting to Temple of the Dog, but.
Well, he's busy with all these Atlantic 75s. I mean, these so far. I mean, I will say, from all the reviews I've read, everyone's pretty happy with that series. So, well done.
I think it's a great series. I never had a doubt in my mind that it was going to be good. As a matter of fact, I still think that people were kind of reading it wrong, that people weren't going to respond to things like Foreigner and stuff like that. I think that there's definitely the Foreigners and the Bad Company records, Stone Temple Pilots, all that kind of stuff. Even like Hootie and the Blowfish and stuff. It's like, there's a place for that.
Well, okay, so you're an audiophile label. You're going to obviously find master tapes that are in good quality to begin with. You're going to have great mastering engineers, all the top ones that we talk about all the time, with the best equipment, with really good vinyl these days. Press it QRP for, in Chad's case, or RTI if you're MoFi, or et cetera, right? So, I think we're in a good, I think we've talked about this before. This is a really good time to be vinyl owners and collectors. There's some great stuff out there, and some of the best standing stuff is right now.
I agree, and just got to have space for it. That's my issue.
It's like that Matchbox 20 album that came out at 45 RPM, the Atlantic 75, an original, when they didn't make very many, because this is what early. It was just late 2000s. They did have a vinyl version on Discogs. They're running $300 to $400 per. For an original Matchbox 20. So, I mean, why not get the Atlantic 75 for $60? I would assume it would sound better at 45 RPM and, move forward.
Another record I would love to see. I can't believe I'm saying this because I wouldn't pay it up for it. Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains released a record called Boggy Depot on Columbia. And that record costs so much money. And I mean, you know, and it was one of those ones where I waited and I waited and I waited and I went, okay, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so then I went and I paid up for that record like an idiot. But you know what? I'm glad. I wanted it so bad, and
Yeah.
I have it. You know, and it for me to think, oh, somebody reprints that. You know, they should. It's a great record.
But I mean, Matchbox 20, the originals haven't gone down in value, even though it's been repressed with AP's Atlantic 75 series. So it still holds its value.
Yeah, and I don't even really. I'm not concerned about that. It's just that okay. Now I'm gonna have to go buy it again because this one might sound better than the one that's the original one. By the way, the Julian Lennon records you can get an OG
They're
Velat, no
cheap. They're
sweat, and
$5.
they sound great.
They're $5.
The OG Velat is a high quality record. I have all of Julian Lennon stuff up through Help Yourself, and they're all they all sound great.
That's a good advice. Scott Weiland's solo album was an RSD press and it's still cheap. Missing Cleveland is a great tune. Yes, I want to get that record now. Thank you.
Yeah, I what other rock titles do you guys want from the Atlantic 75th? I want Foreigner 4.
I've got the MoFi version. Do you have that one?
Nope.
It's
the only
good.
Foreigners I have the OG 4. I have the OG Head Games. I have all the Foreigner OG ones. I was tempted to get the first album because I think that already came out, right? The first Foreigner record.
That's right.
I don't think is Double Vision out too already. Did they come out with Double Vision already on the Atlantic?
I don't know.
I can't remember now either because they do this little 2 or 3 at a time. But when 4 comes out, I think I will jump on that.
So Scott Weiland records, are they all Atlantic?
I don't know. I think later in his career he did some pretty indie stuff, I thought.
I'd like to see those reissued. That would be a real treat for us.
He had a band called like the Walkabouts or something like that, right? Scott Weiland, right? And the Walkabouts, I think they were and he was having so much trouble. I think he got dropped at some point. I don't know, but he was not in a good way, Clapton 461 Ocean Boulevard is on RSO.
I like on Tio's Mach 1, either a 72 or 73 Mach 1. I bet you.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I used to have a 72 Mustang, so I know those ones. Simply Red. I have a few of the OG Simply Red. Those are not bad, not terrible.
I would jump on a copy. Yeah, I would jump on a copy of their later record. It's called Stars. I think it's 1991, maybe.
I think so. That's a good album.
That's a great record. I would buy that record for sure if I saw it, but I haven't seen it ever in the wild.
The lead singer of Simply Red, he was hanging around. I mean, you would never have thought this, but during his heyday, I mean, all of his girlfriends were models. Incredible. If you watch back some of the, old MTV stuff. What was his name?
Mick something. I think his last name begins with an H. Mick something.
Simply Red.
Mick H something. Mick Hucknall. That's it. Not Red Hucknall.
Simply Red. Did it have sort of a ska or reggae vibe to it as well?
Simply Red. Oh, Steve had to mute. There are children present.
I've got children present. Yeah, no, it had that sort of vibe to it. That's for sure. I mean, in a way, I like Simply Red.
The first time I remember Simply Red was what's it? Holding Back the Years.
That's right.
Yeah, soul vibe.
Yeah,
song that was the first big hit I remember. Mick Hucknall. That's his name.
Mick Hucknall. Yeah. Anyways, he was he used to hang around a lot of models in his day.
He didn't seem like the debonair type. Now I'm solo. Let's talk about other cool stuff. Faith No More, Angel Dust. Yeah, Angel Dust is a great Faith No More record. That record definitely deserves a high def treatment. Moving Pictures would be nice too. You know what though? I'll tell you something. OG Moving Pictures is incredible. They just did a Moving Pictures box set where they redid it for some anniversary. The OG smokes it. The OG is just fantastic. And I have the OG. I don't even know if it's American or what, but it's incredible sounding. There's no reason to go past that. But I mean, obviously, if you can't get one, but man, if you get a clean OG, it's right where it needs to be. OG Signals too.
Okay, so do you have a Grail record that you don't own, that maybe an OG that you're wanting, you're looking for, and say, if you one day you see it at the record store you want to get, it's not in your collection? Do you have one? You must.
Yeah, I do.
Will you share it with us?
I have been sort of fascinated with getting Vertigo, Sabbath, Paranoid, Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabotage. But really the first three.
I've banned I banned myself from talking about Sabbath, right? Because I had viewers complain that I talk about them too much. So I'm not talking about them.
I don't have such a ban, and I am, when I like, me and Patrick and Mazzy are going to meet up and go to this record show in a couple weeks here in the city, and like that's like specifically what I'm looking for. Is that's definitely something that I would jump on. A Nimbus Sgt. Pepper.
You're going down the Vertigo path.
Yeah,
Oh, geez,
I know.
baby.
It's those three. And it's funny because I got green, army green Warners of them that people say are really good too.
Yeah.
But I just, and I know also that they used, what is it? Is it the NEMS ones that they have the same stampers for the, you know what I mean? Is that what it is? Right.
I think so. Yeah.
It's like, but I don't know. I just feel like I have to do it. I don't know. I don't want to do it.
You got a budget for it. George, people don't know that the city is San Francisco in this case, is what Mazzy
that's
saying.
okay. I'm protecting your privacy, Mazzy. I don't want it, the fans. We just were talking about Hard Day's Night. I don't want everybody showing up and chasing us down the street because Norman Maslow is with us. I know.
You read the Johnny C, please.
It's the WWA versions. That's what it is. Yeah, not the NEMS ones. Yeah, WWA versions. Yeah. So like, but still, you know what? I don't think I would pay up for one of those. I think I'd have to go with the Vertigo. You asked, and I'm saying it.
The Sabbath rabbit hole.
-5 Rubber Soul. Actually, it's the mono. It's the -4 mono.
Now, is that the one? Is that the hot cut?
No, that's the first Rubber Soul -1.
Okay. Because the hot cut.
It's fine. It's good. It's good. It's and I'm gonna say something. It's gonna get weird. You can light me up in the comments.
Should I mute you too or no?
I actually prefer the later HTM late 70s, early 80s cuts of Beatles for Sale than the -1 tube cut. The tube cut's got its own vibe and it's warmer, whatever you want to call it, richer and low mids. But the transient, there's a lack of detail that the later HTM cuts have, the stereo cuts of Beatles for Sale, that I actually enjoy more.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, me and Nick Fantasy were listening to a White Album HTM that was pretty smoking good too, that was rivaling the White Vinyl UK. Those late, if you can find the BC13 box anywhere up into the early 80s, just jump on it, man. The HTM cuts that he had a lot of tries and he got better each time.
The BC13 box, I mean, they're still reasonable. 600 probably, if I'm not mistaken.
Jefferson, well, I'm not going to say anything. He might be still working that out.
Okay. Rick's V Spinner, I have the 2010 Grateful Dead Warner Brothers set that Chris Bellman mastered and cut. Sounds excellent. Mazzy was just saying, because he really enjoys the new Rhino cut here I was reading. I love the Rhino American Beauty almost as good as the OG Greenie, but now I want to hear the Mo 545. I've got the Mo 545 American Beauty. I've got the Chris Bellman, and of course I've got the Rhino. They all sound really good. I mean, they really do. I think it's a real subjective thing as to what you really want to hear from that record. I like them all.
Yeah, I have the Greenie, so I don't feel the need to, but I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking
Well,
about it.
I haven't heard any sales updates on how they're doing between the American Beauty and the Cars. I mean, I said the Cars would sell out before American Beauty, and you said the opposite. So hopefully, I'll get an update at some point, and we'll see who's right or wrong. It'll be fun.
And I'm standing by it. I'm standing by it.
I bet you, though, it's close. It's probably what it is. It's close.
I'm standing by it. I believe that it's the tortoise and the hare, and I believe that the Cars are the hare. And
Well, the Cars, I'm assuming the Cars probably jumped out of the gate quick just because of the self-titled selling out when it did. So yeah, I expect that. We'll see.
One of these days, we'll find out.
We'll see. I'm curious
Footloose, a MoFi Footloose soundtrack.
Ooh, wow.
In all honesty, I would love to see like a high quality cut. This is gonna sound weird. Of Saturday Night Fever.
I don't know about that.
I love that record, and I also like the soundtrack to Grease. It's old school stuff for me.
Beatles AAA stereo. I don't think the tapes are good any longer. I think we've had that discussion. You probably will not see that. Otherwise, I think they would have probably marketed that already.
I think even if the tapes were good, I think it's going to take a lot more than it's like, we all look at the mono box set and go, look, it's stratospheric prices, but it's not like that for them. And I don't think that they made enough money off the mono to make it worthwhile.
I remember when that came out, there was loads and loads. I saw them in the Costco bin where I lived in British Columbia at the time. I mean, no one was buying them.
And the digital box, the stereo box, I think is already way up there too in price. I don't think you can get a stereo. It's funny, the digital source stereo box that everybody kind of says that's not good enough for me. I think that's gone up through the roof too. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like near $1,000 or something.
I think it is. Scott Wheeler, love to see an audiophile reissue of the Carpenters. I've got all of the MoFi, or these are my Canadian MoFis. This is the Audiophile A&M MoFi, I guess, version only in Canada. I've got the Carpenters' greatest hits as well, and I've got a really clean copy, and yeah, some good stuff. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Audiophile my Canadian MoFis, but these are great and still readily available and not that expensive. And this is one of my favorite Police albums too. This is the one with what, do 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 a da 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 or whatever. I was just intrigued by that song, but yeah, it's nice. It's got the JVC super vinyl. I mean, it's that super vinyl stuff.
And Don't Stand So Close to Me, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And the Suitcase is on there. Behind My Camel's on there.
It goes don't stand too close to me, and then Driven to Cheers. I like that song. Then When the World is Running Down, you make the best of what's still around.
Another big song.
Canary in a Coal Mine, and then Voices Inside My Head and Bombs Away is the first. Is side one. This is such a great album.
I think Behind My Camel's on side 2, right?
Yeah, it goes do Behind My Camel's number 2, Man in a Suitcase, Shadows in the Rain, and The Other Way of Stopping.
So that's their.
This is a half speed mastered. It says the Audiophile series produced a superb master from which the record is manufactured the purest possible anti-static vinyl, which is this JVC Super Vinyl. The cutting of the master from the original stereo tapes is performed at half the normal speed. Did you know that? Half speed.
Half speed.
And the velocity of the cutting stylus, George, being dramatically reduced results in a more faithful cutting of the heavily modulated passages and the general extension of the frequency range.
Wait a minute. You know something?
So yeah, the Carpenter, Scott Wheeler, that would be interesting. I guess again, it's right. It's licensing, right? Who knows? Bee Gees, UHQ. I think a lot of people would buy the Bee Gees. I know George would. What do you have there?
Still in the shrink with the warehouse price sticker on it. This is Regatta de Blanc on 10-inch. Yeah, the warehouse. I got it for $25. This is it's the original 10-inch release of it.
I didn't know that. Look at that. Charlie White, the Police won a Grammy for Best Rock Instrumental for the song Behind My Camel.
Did you go.
Did you know? That's the things that make you go home. So it's on side 2 of this record.
Yeah, it's an Andy Summers joint.
So good. Now it's another one I have to listen to when we get off the air. There you go. I'm gonna listen to Stone Temple Pilots again. What's this?
This has Message in a Bottle on it.
Yeah.
That's another big song from them.
Huge song.
Yeah. Bring on the Night. Walking on the Moon. Another great one.
Did they really walk on the moon? Was that just
No, Sting did, briefly.
Okay. Neil Armstrong, those guys. Thomas Dolby, The Flat Earth, 2009 remastered collector's edition on UHK vinyl, please. Was only released on CD, which was good. Interesting. Thomas Dolby. Is that She Blinded Me with Science? Is that the Thomas Dolby I'm thinking of? Is that big song?
Yeah, the first school that I taught at, Thomas Dolby was sort of like a friend to the school. He gave us a 2-inch 24 track of Blinded Me with Science that we used for students to play around with, and he was a nice guy.
Give me some Thomas Dolby love here. That's pretty cool. What record label is he from? Flat Earth would be cool.
Virgin, maybe. I know that he almost joined XTC for a brief moment there.
Wow.
I don't remember. Maybe
Terence Trent D'Arby. There's a name from the past. That's a mid to late 80s. I remember his debut album got a lot of radio time here in Canada. Wow.
That dude doomed himself from the get-go.
What happened?
That guy made a bad decision really early on in his career.
Did he Milli Vanilli it or something? What happened to him?
No, he said the hard line, according to Terence Trent D'Arby, I guess this is his debut album.
Yeah.
This is something you don't do. He came on, he said, this record's better than Sgt. Pepper. And everybody went, get out of here. He did.
I have his CD, but I don't think it's better than Sgt. Pepper. That's for sure.
He said it, and that was about the end of it for him in America. We didn't hear from him again.
He compared himself to Pepper. That's you don't do that.
Not a good idea.
Was it The World According to Terence Trent D'Arby or something like that? Was that the name of the album?
Hard Line, right?
The Hard Line
according to Terence Trent D'Arby.
I'm gonna have to pull it out of my CD Rubbermaid box and have a listen to that one. That's for sure.
Big hit with what? Wishing Well.
Wishing Well was huge. That was a big hit.
Sign Your Name Across My Heart or something like that was the follow-up single.
I have all the Eurythmics, all the OG Eurythmics Canadian cuts, and those sound fantastic as well.
Great records.
I mean, Dave Stewart is a great producer, right? So I mean, you're going to expect some really high quality sonics on those, and the Eurythmics, every record's great. The song I like, one of the songs, what album is it off? Is the Who's That Girl? It's such a haunting track. Annie Lennox's voice in that track gets me every single time. And that was, I think, the last song on side one of, oh gosh, I don't remember the name of the album now. But anyways, any of those Eurythmics albums are just fantastic, just so well produced.
Excellent singer.
She has a YouTube channel. She sits in front of her piano and has her daughter sing, like they do duets and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Joe Jackson, how about that, George? Joe,
yeah, great power pop. Cover to cover. You just put on a Joe Jackson record, sit back and learn.
Charlie White, killer version of Train in Vain by The Clash, Annie Lennox. Annie Lennox has some great covers. I mean, just incredible covers. She's such a talented singer. Eurythmic Savage is excellent. Is that the one I'm talking about? The Savage album has Who's That Girl on it? Such a great album.
They were pumping out a lot of records back then, right? They were kind of.
Well, Dave Stewart did work probably with Paul McCartney and the Beatles. He hung around Eric Clapton. I mean, these guys are probably all close right back in their day.
Tom Petty,
yeah.
Don't Come Around Here No More. That was him and Dave.
I still can't believe, and we were talking at the top, American Girl never charted in the U.S. That to me is crazy. What a great song. Just the beginning riff of that song just gets me every time too. So crazy. It's such an amazing song.
It's a concise, well-written pop tune.
And I don't think Mike Campbell gets as much credit as sort of the lead guitarist and sort of co-writer of those songs as well. I mean, he's done some, he's got a fabulous catalog. And I mean, we always hear the story about Boys of Summer, right?
That's all you got to say right there. The guy wrote Boys of Summer.
He wrote the music to Boys of Summer, and then didn't give it to Petty for some reason, went and talked to Don Henley. Henley sat at the table, listened to this cassette recording, and then an hour later phoned Mike after he left and said, "Hey, I got the lyrics for it." And I think they slowed down the version that Mike gave him, and Boys of Summer was the song. Something like that.
He gave it to Petty. Tom Petty didn't care for it, but he did say on his way as he was rejecting it, he said, change the chorus to major, because he stayed in minor.
That's what it was.
He said, switch to that and you'll be fine. He said, all right.
And that's what Don Henley did.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Campbell basically had the whole demo fully fleshed out, and when he went with Don Henley. Don Henley just had to write the lyrics.
Can you imagine how much money Mike Hamill's made off of that song? Like that's I can't
It's
even
an
imagine.
all-time classic tune. All-time classic tune.
There you are.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
Comes the Rain Again, Eurythmics, of course, huge. Traveling Wilburys, their Volume 3 is their first debut album, I think. Was the Volume 3 was the first one they mixed it up. Cloud
No, I
9.
think it was their second album.
Or second, I can't, yeah, anyways. But you know what's interesting with Traveling Wilburys? I mean, he had, what's the Tom Petty solo album with Free Falling? Is it called Free Falling? I have it.
No, it's called Full Moon Fever.
Full Moon Fever with Free Falling is track 1, which I have. Now, when he was recording that album, I think Cloud 9 was being recorded the same by George Harrison.
George Harrison already completed Cloud 9, I think. And
so
then
they collaborated on the Traveling Wilburys. So if you get all those records and put them all together, it's that same era, that same sound, right? I mean, and
it's
I know
called Jeff Lynne. It's called Jeff Lynne doing his thing.
And then look, there was a Bob Dylan album that was recorded and released around the same time as Cloud 9 and Full Moon Fever. So whatever that one was, again has some of the same sound as all of those records. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then I think Dylan went and did Under Red Sky or something like that with Lanois. Might have been his first record.
Daniel Lanois. I don't know about a remix of Full Moon Fever. I just like the original. I have the remastered by Chris Bellman, and that sounds great. A remix? I don't know. I think I don't know these reimagined remakes.
Why would they
think about it. There's the artist. There'd be no artist intent. We've learned that Tom Petty's last song he ever sang was American Girl before he died. He's no longer with us. No, don't do that to me.
Why would they? No. Why would they? Oh, by the way, there's a on YouTube. You can see there's a nice little
crowded house.
Bob Dylan's. I thought it was Bob Dylan's house where they recorded the Traveling Wilburys, but it's actually Dave Stewart's house where they recorded the Traveling Wilburys with Jeff producing.
That's
at Dave Stewart's house, and they just cut the guitars right there in the kitchen because there was just a vocal booth, right? So, Roy Orbison, George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, put them in a room. They write a song in 2 hours.
Tweeter and the Monkey Man. Just what an epic story that Bob Dylan sings. I mean, just epic.
And there's a really good documentary, and it was all filmed. They filmed all of that, them recording in Dave Stewart's house, sitting in his kitchen playing their guitars around a microphone, and Roy Orbison coming in there and cutting stuff, and they talk about Tweeter and the Monkey Man and all of it. They really I think Bob Dylan was supposed to go on tour, so he had to cut his vocal track that day and then leave. And there's a pretty good workup on that on YouTube. You can see it.
Who produced Hello Moon? Is it Daniel Lanois?
Yellow Moon. I think you're
talking about Yellow Moon. What's he talking about?
The Neville Brothers. I think he's talking about Yellow Moon by the Neville Brothers. I think is what you might be talking about.
Well, Daniel Lanois, to me, I mean, he produced a lot of the U2 records. Unforgettable Fire is really where he really helped expand Larry Mullen Jr.'s drums and really get the drums sort of up front more. And on that album, that's what Lanois really focused on, was getting Mullen's drums to a better point. And you really hear it on that album, and it really comes off nice. And then when you get to Joshua Tree, it's that's a complete album. And as a drummer, Larry Mullen's complete. It was really complete after that. I think Lanois really worked with Mullins, during those two albums to really get his drums to where they are today.
I think you got Brian Eno in there too.
That's right.
He's got some skills.
Yellow Moon, great album. Lanois produced Yellow Moon.
Yeah,
there you go.
Neville Brothers. That's a great sounding record too.
So Peter Gabriel, So album produced by Daniel Lanois. I've got a Canadian cut of So, and I know there's been a lot of people saying there's sibilance with So. My cut sounds great. It was a Bernie Grundman cut. Okay, so if you Google Peter Gabriel So Bernie Grundman master cut Discogs LP, it'll go right to that, and they're cheap.
Also, Robbie Robertson's first solo album.
Someone said the Byrds remaster the Byrds. That'd be cool.
Well, that would obviously be Norman.
Someone said that.
It had to be Norman. If the Byrds come up,
hold on.
There's a Mazzy around the corner.
Could be, but Scott McKenzie's Crowded House. I've got a lot of the original Crowded House records, and amazing. That would be cool to get that reissued as well. I don't know where it went, but I did see someone say something about the Byrds
I
Here
saw
it
it.
is.
He's out
No, a
there.
remix of the Birds. It's Doodah Dave's record. So Doodah Dave is wanting remix of the Birds. Mazzy's probably going crazy right now, going, "Oh my god, it's amazing." He's going to be in line with Doodah Dave, waiting in line for those remixes.
Oh, look at that! Bandy started it, and Norman's telling on him. Bandy said it first. The Birds, yeah. I mean, a good Birds box set would be incredible.
So why isn't there one?
Maybe there's nobody. Maybe there's nobody kind of looking over their catalog. You know, that happens sometimes. You know, where after some of the members have dissipated and gone in different directions, who owns it? Do they have any stake in wanting to do it? That's another thing that was happening with Soundgarden, right? That's what got Soundgarden to get back together, was that there was nobody really looking after their catalog. It was just sort of sitting there kind of dormant. And if you think about it, you know, if the band goes away and then there was management in place and the management kind of just dwindled away, and somebody's sitting on those masters, but then again, the masters might not be good. They might not have been archived good. Who knows?
Chance is saying, do you guys cover the switch-o, change-o on these 8 Atlantic 75 jackets? No more lamination, starting with STP core. So I have it right here. It's a matte finish. It's not laminated. I don't know, you obviously can't really tell in this, but
I don't listen to the cover. I wouldn't care.
But my Phil Collins, it's just it cares. But this is laminated. This has a shiny gloss to it, where the STP
it looks like a
has
mirror.
matte
I can
gloss.
see I can see the reflection.
There you
of the
go.
computer.
Thanks, Chance, for that. Yeah. John Benny, I know someone who would know that I think about is going to explore it concerning the Birds. That is, so maybe the Birds will get a remaster. That would be cool.
Yeah, figured that out, Bandy, because who knows, like, who's holding on to the rights, who's got the masters, who's you know, that's what it comes down to. If there's money to be made, someone's sitting there with it ready.
Are we talking the Birds or the Who? Who?
I thought we were talking about the Birds.
I'm teasing you.
Oh, who? What about
the Guess Who? The Guess Who, or the Who, or the Birds?
Guess Who? Did Atlantic do No Jacket Required? Are they doing the third Phil Collins?
Does anyone know? Now, is the Phil Collins, that's the one where the license is just, it's a time thing, right? On the Phil Collins stuff, it's not units sold or something. Is that my understanding? And there's no SACD version of those two either.
I don't know if it's just the first one or if it's also the second one too.
I didn't buy Face Value just because I have an original. And again, it was, really well produced, recorded, engineered, and it sounds great to me. And I don't know, I'm saving my money for other things when I have it. I don't need an extra copy to listen to In the Air Tonight again.
Is that true that the Birds belong to Terry Melcher? That's a joke, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I was reading about that Hugh Padgham. He's a good.
How about that, Hugh? Hugh produced. Hugh did Phil Collins. He did really well on those ones.
He did a lot of things. McCartney, XTC, Phil Collins, a lot of things. Oh, it's a joke. Dave was joking.
I know.
So Atlantic 75th did No Jacket Required as a 33. Oh, yeah. So maybe, who knows? Who knows?
Terry Melcher did great work on the Raiders hits.
Good old Terry Melcher.
Human League. Ooh, another blast from the past.
That's going deep into some 80s territory there.
There you go. Well, we're going to leave it at this. It's spring break here in Vancouver, so I can hear the kids downstairs. I've been screaming for the last hour. That's why I had to put it on mute for a second. But if anyone missed it, I went to the library with the kids and I picked up Hard Day's Night 2014, and it's slow. It doesn't sound the same when you hear the songs as the album, because they had to slow it down so the picture wouldn't flicker during these songs. It sounds so weird to listen to Hard Day's Nights in the slow version. It's weird. Anyways, weird. I don't know. I didn't do a boil over. Did you want to end with a boil over before we go, or are you good?
I was just going to say that it gets over the top. I got some email from the Beatles from their stupid website, and I think that they were like selling like a little like a statuette of a yellow submarine for like $900. And the Beatles have officially jumped the shark in my perspective. I'm just saying.
Oh my God!
I'm saying
People say that about our show, Jumping the Shark, but this is a boil over right now. And
it is.
you know that Jumping the Shark scene does come from Happy Days when Fonzie literally jumped the sharks in that episode. That's where that scene comes from. Just so you know.
Who's going to pay $900 for a plastic submarine to put on their shelf? I mean, I just can't. What is that? What does that even mean? What are you doing? I don't even get it. I mean, that's literally like that jumped in my mind because you were talking about merchandise before.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's I don't know what's going on over there, but I'm done. I'm not buying any more Beatle
I'm not
products.
buying merchandise. I mean, I don't think you're even going to buy a remastered, reimagined, remix ever again. You're done. If I see one ever, that I don't know, not good.
I've learned my lesson. I'm not buying another one of those stinky remixes ever again. I'm not doing it.
So the Jump the Shark came from that Fonzie episode, or the Happy Day episode where Fonzie jumps the sharks, literally jumped the sharks. I love that episode. I think it was like a 2-part series where it was a cliffhanger. So they basically left it where he's just about to go over the ramp, and then part 2 next week. You're like, damn. And then you find out that he actually jumped the shark.
And that's where people say that's where Happy Days went bad. And that's the whole point of it. When it goes bad, it's jumping the shark.
So hope we haven't jumped the shark today.
No. Somebody's down here, Elvis, saying about the Queen. I don't think you're going to find anything different about Queen records because it's all down to digital masters now. I don't think that the tapes are usable. They were having problems with the tapes back in the early 2000s.
Look at this. Hang on, George. Look at this. That was the Jump the Shark episode.
I thought that was Paul McCartney right there.
No, that was Henry. That was Henry Winkler jumping the shark right there. We better leave it this before they say we jump the shark. Have a good, lovely rest of your day. We'll see you on Friday for the end of the week roundtable. Should be fun.
Excellent.
Thanks guys
for having me.
Bye.
Bye, folks.